thinking. So yeah, here we go with today's countries video. And today we're on Belgium. Staying up in the region of like the Low Countries and all that. So yeah, we're on Belgium today, and it's believed that, so yeah, here we go. It's believed that the Belgian name is derived from the Belgae tribes that lived in the northern part of what was then Gaul at around the 3rd century BC. But what does Belgae stand for, and what did the tribe come from? And according to like linguistic experts, the name itself has roots from the Proto-Celtic words for Belg and Bolg, which means to swell with anger. And as far as the origin is concerned, it's a huge debate among scholars, historians and researchers on whether Belgaes were really Celts, Germanic, or of mixed tribes. Interestingly, some sources suggest on whether Belgaes were really Celtic, Germanic, or mixed tribes. Some sources suggest that the Belgaes themselves were not used to show which group they belonged to. When Julius Caesar conquered their lands, he observed that the language and traditions were quite different from those of the other tribes in Gaul. And during his conquest, Caesar drew his attention particularly on the Belgaes. And out of all the tribes of Gaul, they were described as the bravest of them all. And this belief was really supported by the fact that they were hardest to conquer compared to Gaul next to him. And Caesar faced like strong resistance and took him 4 years to finally conquer like all of the Belgae tribes in 53 BC. And during Roman times, Belgae could not accept the fact that their land was part of the empire and revolted. And their leader Ambiorix was in charge of the revolt, but it was eventually defeated. And after the fall of the Roman Empire and the beginning of the Middle Ages, the territories which are presently form Belgium became part of the Holy Roman Empire, and would remain as such until the 11th and 12th centuries, as the influence and control of the Holy Roman Empire over these territories would gradually decrease over the centuries. As a result, the lands were left isolated, and the lack of protection was a good opportunity for the English and French to take control over the region. And over the centuries, these territories were divided into small feudal states, and the most famous one that emerged was the counties of Flanders and Hainaut, and the duchies of Limburg and Brabant, and the Prince-Bishopric of Liege. And also all these feudal states, the wealthiest was the county of Flanders, and the region became the centre of trade where the English wool was imported and converted into fine cloth, and the wealth of the region led to the emergence of cities such as Bruges, Ghent and Ypres. Until the 19th century, the territories of present-day Belgium were controlled by French, Dutch and Spanish, and will remain until a series of events which would lead to the creation of a Belgian state. And in the year 1815 was one of significant importance in Belgium, like following Napoleon's defeat in Waterloo, and the victorious powers of Britain, Austria, Prussia and Russia met in Vienna to redistribute influence and negotiate the jurisdiction of territories for years to come. And the most significant decision was the creation of the United Kingdoms of Netherlands. And the main idea was to create a state which would be a buffer territory against any further French intervention, and during the Vienna Congress, the creation of a Belgian state was suggested, but this option did not get enough support. Instead, was decided that the territories which were once part of France should now be attached to the United Kingdom of Netherlands. And it's like it wasn't really the best decision, as it caused problems and would create a period of unrest, and would lead to the Belgian Revolution 15 years later, with the Kingdom of Netherlands was hugely divided due to the fact that the people in the north were mainly Protestant, while the individuals in the south were Catholic. And further, there was a linguistic division between the Walloons, whose language is French, as opposed to the Flemish, whose mother tongue is Dutch. And years to come, the linguistic division would be one of the main reasons for invest in the southern provinces. And for the Dutch king, Willem I favoured the Protestants, and he became unpopular in the south. And moreover, the people in the south of the kingdom believed to be less represented. Willem tried to make the Dutch the universal language, but he faced a serious opposition from the French-speaking communities, and in order which was established by the Dutch dominance was clearly unacceptable for the southern communities, and led to the beginning of the Belgian Revolution. On the 25th of August 1830, the Dutch King Willem I, while celebrating his 15th year of his reign, as a part of the celebrations, he attended the Ober's opera La Montmartre de Plessis at the Brussels Opera House. Interestingly, the same opera house influenced nationalist movements during the revolution in France, which took place months earlier, with many patriotic disturbances, and it was for this reason the opera was initially banned but subsequently lifted for a premiere on the August 25th. And during the performance, there were many patriotic posters inside the opera that called for a revolution. And from the moment when the second act began with a duet, Homme Sacré de la Patrie, an uprising began among the attendings, and the revolt quickly moved to the streets of Brussels. And the inspiration for the revolution began to pick up pace in other cities, and the people's demands were simple: independence and the end of Dutch dominance. As the Belgian Revolution was a moment which was not only a huge importance for Belgium, but also shaped the rest of Europe and created a new country. And following these events, the great powers from the Vienna Congress gathered once again in London on the 20th of December 1830, and they had no choice but to recognise the success of the Belgian Revolution and to guarantee its independence. But the powers insisted that the future king should come from the Saxe-Coburg dynasty. And why was that? As it was simple to avoid any French interest in the future Belgian territories. And that is why Leopold I of Saxe-Coburg was invited to become first king of Belgium, and his inauguration was the 21st of July 1830, and his date became a national day in Belgium, since the Dutch and French speaking communities have their own country and king. And celebrated the year 1831 as a true beginning for the modern day Belgium. And it's my sister's 11th birthday today, so yeah. Kind of happy about it. Moving on to the language, Belgium straddles between Germanic and Romance speaking Europe, and its precision is reflected in the politics, culture and linguistic makeup of the country, as 3 language groups in all share one roof, and a lot can go wrong. And unlike other countries in Europe who have successfully managed to forge united national identity out of multiple linguistic communities, like Switzerland, Belgium's linguistic diversity has become a political hot potato in recent years, with divisions over languages often pitting the different linguistic communities against one another. But most people in Belgium speak kind of like Flemish, which is kind of like Dutch, which is mostly found in the northern regions of Flanders, which comprise about 6% or 6.5 million, 6% or 6.5 million of the population. The language this community speaks with largely identical to the Dutch spoken in the Netherlands. It's called Belgian Dutch by academics and Flemish by everyone else. And of course there are differences between Flemish and Standard Dutch, particularly in pronunciation and vocabulary and in idioms. But someone who can speak Dutch shouldn't have too many problems in Flanders. Then there's also French, which is second most popular spoken language in French. In Belgium. The French-speaking community in the south, in southern Wallonia, and in the capital of Brussels. And this community constitutes approximately 40% of the Belgian population, which is 4.5 million people. And despite there being clear differences in pronunciation and vocabulary, if you learn like a standard French, like in France, then you should be able to understand like French Belgian once you've kind of adjusted to it. And then there's like tiny German speaking minorities in the eastern regions of the province of Liège, which is on the border with Germany, which is from like roughly about 1% of the population, which is about 75,000. And because these regions were only incorporated into Belgium after World War I, the German spoken here is still very similar to the standard German over in the border. And unlike Belgian Dutch, Belgian French, Belgian German has had much less time to evolve independently. And then there's also a fourth language, Luxembourgish, which I mentioned yesterday. Can also be heard in the arrondissement of Ireland in a Belgian province called Luxembourg, which borders the country of Luxembourg. And this language has not been recognised at the national level, but nevertheless has been recognised as a minority language in the French community of Belgium. But there's beyond all that, there's a myriad of Germanic and Roman dialects found across Belgium as well. As there's Flemish dialects of Limburgish, Brabantian, and Eastern and Western Flemish. There's also German-inspired Low Dutch and German in the German-speaking region. And then there's the French dialects of Walloon, Picard, Champenois, and Lorraine in the French-speaking parts of Belgium. So yeah. There's a whole lot going on. Another one of my sisters, whose birthday's on Friday, he just decided to scare one of my other sisters who's already had a birthday, what seemed to be a long time ago. And it's beyond that, there's many legends coming from Belgium, there's many urban legends as well, of a dog being microwaved and serial killers in granny outfits. And then there's someone telling that their friend's mum's second cousin has experienced it firsthand. So yeah, start up, there's Smiley Face, as there's some urban legends that can be utterly gruesome, like in the European story of the so-called Smiley Gang, or Smiley Face murderer that was made its way around Belgium cities in 2002. And as the story was often told in Brussels, a gang of or a single man would follow a woman home from the subway and attack her in an abandoned alley, and she would always presented with a choice: be raped or smile forever. And actually, the one went with option 2, which resulted in her mouth being sliced open at the corners up to her so that it would resemble a clown smile. And it's often the case that urban legend would become like the premise of a horror film. As Smiley came out in 2012 in cinemas, and with his mouth slicing serial killer wearing a mask with a grotesque grin, noting that the nice tagline that's evil wears a smile. Then there's the pinprick attack, like sitting down in the Style used to be aware of sitting down in like the red plush cinema seats of the UGC, the Book area. There's an legend, and it kind of tells us that there might be madmen hiding near needles with HIV contaminated blood in them, and the needle could have a note saying "Welcome to the world of HIV." Or you might find a sticker attached to the U with the same message, depending on who's telling the tale. And other versions of this completely false, can be seen as false, has been circulated around like major cities ever since the 80s, when the AIDS scare was on the forefront of many minds. And these tales tend to spread. Storytellers have attached the name to Brussels venue to add local colour and make things more believable. Then there's the microwave pet. That's the classic that nearly every Belgian has heard at some point. Cast a dog as an unsuspecting victim, and when the family finally gets a furry companion, the two kids are immune with their new pets. And so when the parents are called up for an emergency, the mum and dad are both nurses. They tell the children not to take the dog outside. As soon as the parents are gone, the rebellious children take the dog into the garden, where the rain is pouring down hard. And once back inside, the two are trying to cover up their tracks by putting the dog in the microwave to dry in results. And the results are a fried oven and an equally roasted dog. So yeah, very grim. Then there's the perfume, and the Brussels version of perfume is set in Rue Neuve, which is a busy shopping street, when a woman encounters two men who offer her an expensive perfume for a low price. And she follows them into an alley to smell the fragrance, but instead is knocked out by chloroform, and after which the thieves run off with her bag. And the story has been shared widely in Belgium since the turn of the last century, often in the form of like an email or a fictitious news story on the internet. Then there's a hairy-armed hitchhiker, which is an urban legend that victimizes young women. As the hairy-armed hitchhiker, or the hitchhiker with the hairy hands, tells a tale of a 20-something woman helping out an old lady by giving her a ride home from the Kind Palace movie complex, and driving along with woman catches a glimpse of Granny's extraordinary hairy arms and lifts and drives into the bus in front of her to create a diversion. As the elderly woman jumps out the car, my tablet is scaring me as it temporarily went green for a split second. As the elderly woman jumps out of the car and then and in the Left Behind place, the serial killer in the Belgian version, often existing Mons Ripper. He was active in the 90s, left a knife or a hatchet, and though almost always is presented in the news as a recent news fact, any illustrations of this fictitious tale can be traced back to when Belgium became a country, like little before Belgium became a country in like the 1830s. Then there's Angel of Mons, which is the last one I'm going to be talking about for now, as it's an urban legend or spiritual tale with a rare happy ending, as the Angels of Mons ran rampant in Belgium and England. The months after the Battle of Mons during the Great War, and after a surprise attack from German troops, British soldiers found themselves concerned in the elevated Ardennes city. When the situation was at its bleakest, St. George said to have floated down from the sky, along with other angels, to hold back the Germans and give the English a shot at victory. And tale can be traced back to fantasy author Arthur McCann, who published a similar short story in the London Evening News, and made to be gobsmacked by reports of veterans who confirmed version of winged creatures during the fight. So yeah, that is a bit on Belgium about here. So like, I didn't specifically mention World War II that much, not too much, but it's like Belgium did create a vital role in World War II, as coincidentally the Germans invaded France through the Ardennes in Belgium, which is kind of like a thick forest in southern Belgium, like a dense forest in southern Belgium, both during World War I and World War II. And it's like during World War II, World War I was probably a little bit more maneuverable, as when Germany invaded during World War One, you only really had people and guns, while in World War II you had tanks and all that had been developed a lot more. As I think the first tanks came out during World War One and all, and to kind of right along in no man's land and all. But it's it wasn't believed that you could an army could pass through the Ardennes in the traditional sense of men and tanks and all that kind of thing. But yeah, Germans obviously thought it was possible, made it possible, and proved them all wrong twice. So yeah. And then the Germans put up a hell of a fight as we were all trying to liberate France, Belgium again. And I feel like the Battle of the Bulge was forcing Belgium thing. Now, Google it and let me know in the comments below, because I'm open to all ears and all. So yeah, au revoir for now.